Most travelers come to New Zealand for dramatic mountains and famous film locations. But beyond the iconic landscapes, there are fjords carved by ancient glaciers, coastal towns surrounded by wild ocean, valleys hidden deep in the mountains, and geothermal regions where the earth seems alive beneath your feet. And most visitors never see all of it. New Zealand may look small on the map, but its landscapes feel enormous. What people think New Zealand is. When people picture New Zealand, they imagine towering mountains, adventure sports, and landscapes that look almost unreal. They think of places like Queenstown or the fjords of the South Island. And that version exists. But New Zealand stretches across islands shaped by volcanic activity, glaciers, and powerful oceans. The country spans more than 1,600 kilometers from north to south. Each region carries its own character, its own climate, its own history written into the land. Once you move beyond the most famous viewpoints, the country becomes quieter. The crowds thin out, the roads narrow, and the landscapes shift from postcard perfect to raw and untamed. And even more dramatic, South Island Alps, the anchor. The Southern Alps dominate the South Island. More than 3,000 meters high in some places, these peaks form the backbone of the island. They stretch for nearly 500 kilometers, creating a natural divide between the island's east and west coasts. Glaciers carve valleys through the mountains. Some of these glaciers have been moving for thousands of years, slowly reshaping the land beneath them. Lakes formed by ice reflect the surrounding peaks. The water in these lakes often carries a turquoise glow, colored by rock flour ground fine by glacial movement. This is where many travelers begin their journey. The trails here range from gentle walks to multi-day alpine routes that test endurance and navigation skills. But the Alps are only one piece of New Zealand's landscape. They anchor the island, but they don't define all of it. Fjordland National Park. In the southwest corner of the South Island lies Fjordland National Park. It covers more than 12,000 square kilometers, making it one of the largest national parks in the world. Glaciers carved deep fjords into the mountains thousands of years ago. These ice rivers moved with immense force, cutting through rock and creating steep-walled valleys that later filled with seawater. Today, steep cliffs rise directly from dark water. Some of these cliffs reach over 1,000 meters in height, their surfaces draped in moss and ferns that thrive in the constant moisture. Waterfalls appear after every rainfall. Some pour from heights so great that the wind catches the water before it reaches the fjord below, turning it into mist. Clouds often sit low over the landscape. Fjordland receives rain on more than 200 days each year, feeding the waterfalls and keeping the forests lush and green. Fjordland feels remote and largely untouched. Few roads penetrate this wilderness, and many areas remain accessible only by boat or on foot. Remote coastal towns. Away from the mountains, New Zealand's coastline reveals a different atmosphere. Small towns sit between forest and ocean. Many of these communities were founded by fishing families generations ago, and that heritage still shapes daily life. Fishing boats fill quiet harbors. In the early morning, crews head out into waters rich with snapper, crayfish, and blue cod. Life moves slowly here. Shops open late and close early. Conversations happen over coffee that lasts an hour. Powerful waves shape the coastline. New Zealand sits in the path of the roaring 40s, strong westerly winds that drive ocean swells against the islands year-round. The beaches here aren't always calm or welcoming, but they're wild and beautiful in their own way. These communities feel far removed from the busier tourist centers. Visitors who make it here often stay longer than planned. Most visitors leave New Zealand thinking they've seen it, but the deeper you explore, the more it changes. If you enjoy discovering destinations beyond the obvious, this channel is built for that. Geothermal landscapes. In parts of New Zealand, the earth feels alive. Geothermal activity shapes entire landscapes. The country sits along the boundary of two tectonic plates, and the collision between them creates volcanic systems that heat water deep underground. Geysers erupt from underground pressure. Some erupt on a predictable schedule, while others burst without warning, sending boiling water high into the air. Steam rises from hot pools heated by volcanic energy. These pools range in temperature from warm to dangerously hot, and their colors shift depending on the minerals dissolved in the water. Mineral deposits create colorful formations. Silica terraces form in shades of white and pale blue. Iron stains the ground red and orange. Sulfur leaves patches of yellow near active vents. These geothermal regions reveal the powerful forces beneath the islands. They're reminders that New Zealand is still being shaped, still changing, still forming. Rural life and open landscapes. Much of New Zealand's countryside remains rural. Agriculture has defined the economy for more than a century, and the landscape reflects that history. Sheep farms stretch across rolling hills. New Zealand is home to more than 25 million sheep, far outnumbering the human population. Farms here can span thousands of hectares, with flocks managed by teams of dogs trained to respond to whistles and hand signals. Small communities connect through country roads. Some of these roads wind for hours without passing through a town, crossing rivers on single-lane bridges and climbing over mountain passes. Wide open landscapes define daily life. Neighbors live kilometers apart. Grocery stores might be an hour's drive away. But the space feels natural, not isolating. The scale feels peaceful and expansive. This is a version of New Zealand that moves at a different pace, where seasons dictate routines and weather shapes plans. Food and local flavor. New Zealand cuisine reflects its environment. Fresh seafood appears often along the coast. Fishermen sell their catch directly from docks, and many coastal restaurants change their menus daily based on what comes in from the ocean. Farm-produced shapes many local dishes. Lamb raised on open pastures carries a flavor distinct from animals raised elsewhere. Grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, and fresh vegetables grown in volcanic soil all contribute to meals that taste rooted in place. Markets showcase regional ingredients. The focus isn't on elaborate preparation, but on letting good ingredients speak for themselves. Why travelers are exploring more of New Zealand. New Zealand has become one of the world's most popular adventure travel destinations. But many visitors now move beyond the famous spots. Instead of following the standard circuit, they're venturing into regions that require more time and planning but deliver deeper experiences. Road trips connect remote regions. New Zealand's highways are well maintained, but many of the most rewarding drives happen on gravel roads that wind through valleys few tourists ever see. Travelers take time exploring small towns and hidden valleys. They stop at local caves, hike trails that don't appear in guidebooks, and camp beside lakes where they might be the only ones around. The country rewards slow exploration. Rushing through New Zealand means missing the moments that make the journey memorable. The sunrise over an empty beach, the conversation with a farmer at a roadside stand, the night spent under stars so bright they seem unreal. Who this side of New Zealand is for. This side of New Zealand is for travelers who love landscapes, for people who find meaning in mountains, who feel at ease beside the ocean, who appreciate the quiet that comes with distance from cities, for people who enjoy wide open space, who don't mind driving for hours without seeing another car, who appreciate the solitude that comes with remote places, for those who want mountains, coastlines, forests, and geothermal wonders in one journey. New Zealand delivers variety in a way few countries can match. Within a single day, you can stand on a glacier, swim in a geothermal pool, walk through ancient forest, and watch the sun set over the ocean. New Zealand offers all of it. And the deeper you go, the more you realize how much remains to discover. New Zealand isn't just dramatic scenery. It's glaciers, fjords, coastal towns, geothermal valleys, and landscapes shaped by powerful natural forces. It's a place where nature still dictates the rhythm, where wilderness remains wild, and where the land feels bigger than the map suggests. And once you move beyond the obvious stops, you realize how much more there is. Subscribe for more journeys beyond the tourist version. What part of New Zealand would you explore first?